today's episode of Resilient Business, I have with me Jess Flora from the Body Garage in Dayton, Ohio. And so Body Garage is a regenerative bio boutique that encompasses a lot of different therapies and modalities. And so I'm really excited to be talking with Jesse today. And welcome to Resilient Business, Jesse. How you doing?
Man, we are so good. I really appreciate the opportunity and you inviting me on here. Yeah, it's awesome. Excited.
Excellent. I appreciate it. And so why don't we jump right in? I know that I've been to Body Garage before,
Yep.
and it is, for lack of another word, an experience. Um, and
Take it.
and so we had a great time when my son and I were there. Why don't you just let us know and let the viewers know how you ended up at Body Garage and connected with that business?
Yeah, for sure. So Body Garage actually is the first ever of its kind. And so this has been something, kind of in the works for me specifically for probably about 10, actually 12 years now. So I got into this, like a lot of people do, unintentionally. I was 24 years old, so this would have been 2009. And I was about 270 pounds, really unhealthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, just across the board. And I had a herniated L5S1 that finally just blew the low back out, and I hit the floor in tears. Wasn't really able to move much at all. I remember immediately thinking, I need to go to the chiropractor, and I thought that this is going to be the rest of my life, like this type of debilitating pain. And I remember driving home to try to get to the chiropractor that day, and I wasn't even able to actually lift my leg off the floorboard to like hit the gas and hit the brake. It was that bad. So that kind of put me on this journey, or in this journey, where I was pursuing, chiropractic care and acupuncture, dry needling, disc decompression, stretching, fascial work, strength training, rehab, like cupping, anything you could think of. And a lot of it really, really helped. But uh, it was not until we started putting all of these pieces together, and then really dealing with and diving deep into like the energy side of things, the emotional stuff, the suppressed, we'll call it negative emotions and trauma that essentially, when I started unlocking that and acknowledging what was actually real in my life that I had been holding on to and burying, like anger and rage, and we can get into some of that later. It wasn't until I acknowledged and was aware of some of these things, and started putting my intentions on releasing and giving my biology permission, if you will, to let go of some of these things that was essentially causing, disruptions or blowouts. Like it would, if you had too many things plugged into an outlet and you pulled too much energy, you pop that circuit. And so for me, that's what I, 10 years later discovered, like, wow, I wasn't healthy at all and was dealing with a lot of unresolved energy in my life. And that was what kept blowing my low back out. And so I stayed on the journey for over a decade. And so now we have Body Garage, where we've put all of these things together under one roof.
Yeah, yeah, really, really cool. Very unique story. I find that a lot of people I talk to that have it started in the wellness business, from chiropractors to athletic to recovery and rehab. A lot of those people have their own personal stories of being injured, being wrecked up, emotionally, physically, everything. But yours is kind of on the end of the extreme.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good story.
thank
So
you.
I'm glad you ended up at the Body Garage, at the garage, as we call it.
Yeah,
And so maybe take us through a little bit. What's coming to the garage like? Can you describe, the capabilities and what somebody sees when they come there?
for sure. So, I mean, it's a small space, as you know, right now, just under 1,200 square feet, where we actually have figured out a way to incorporate about 35 different modalities or services, whatever you want to call it. Um, if I were talking to someone for the first time, I love to get the response or the reaction. They say, "What in the world's Body Garage?" We still get calls. People are like, "Hey, you work on cars? What's going on here? No, but come on in and let us show you. I tell people, and it's kind of our mission statement or part of our mission statement, like Body Garage is a regenerative bio boutique. And I pause because usually they look at me like I just grew another head. And it's like, we'll go on to say, it's a place that focuses on restoring health and vitality by removing emotional trauma, which is energy in motion. So we focus on removing emotional trauma. And then it's also where life-changing, cutting-edge technology is paired with ancient healing techniques. And so, we're doing everything from, obviously, we're using pulse centers. We've got the Mac Daddies, and we've got, 2 units where we're doing PEMF with everybody that comes in here if we can. And that's part of, like our membership that we've created, really cool membership model where we take people through 3 times a week, if they can make it in here, 5 different of our pieces of technology or modalities. So we're using the PEMF therapy from pulse centers. We're using high vibration plates. We've got 3 big boys, like full body plates. We're using the Carol bikes, which you've probably been on and know about. It actually is the first ever of its kind artificial intelligence, high intensity interval training, and Carol stands for cardiovascular optimization logic. And so we're getting a really good, quick, but high intensity workout in. And then we're using something we call AMVT, which just stands for aerobic mat vibration therapy. So it's another form of movement to really unlock the hips, the low back, start boosting, some of those really good feel good hormones, like if you go out and get a runner's high, start releasing that stuff so you feel great. And then we're using red light therapy. And so those 5 things are every single time one of our members comes into the garage, they're hitting that circuit. It takes them about 50 minutes. And then once a month, they get the Normatec session. So I know you're big on those, and you brought those in the first time you came in. We love them. We ordered 2 of the full body suits. And so that's part of that membership that we've created too. And so my wife does all of our nutrition. She does a lot of personal training, wellness coaching. And so we started doing something called a wellness evaluation. So if you're coming in as one of our members, she is going to sit down with you once a month, if not more than, and keep in touch with you and figure out, okay, when you first started coming in, you were dealing with a lot of high anxiety, stress with work, your children, your gut was off, your brain was off, a lot of brain fog, you weren't sleeping well, you had no energy when you woke up, and you've been here for 3 or 4 weeks now. Let's sit back down. Let's figure out, how are you doing? How are you progressing? What's changed in your life? And so that's our way of kind of keeping tabs on someone so that you don't get lost in the mix or in the numbers, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the eval up front, and then just the process of circuit, putting them through multiple modalities and
Yeah,
therapies, the combination of the ancient techniques and today's whiz bang technology. To your point earlier, very unique model, only one of its kind. And so, since that's the case, and you're a rare find, really, in Dayton, Ohio, how far do some of your clients come from a little bit further than you might expect?
yeah, yeah.
Because it's really hard to find what you offer.
Yes. I mean, we've got, reoccurring clients, members, we call them friends, family, all a part of the Body Garage family. We have people that consistently are coming, if they can, 3 times a week for everything I just mentioned, probably from about an hour away. Dayton is kind of a hub. It's central to a lot of other, cities, even like bigger cities like Columbus or Cincinnati, Indianapolis. Like we're only about an hour and 15 minutes from some of those cities. So, there's been a lot of people that have reached out from those cities even and want to come in and check us out. And then, we've got people that are looking for the one-off services that aren't necessarily, hey, I don't really, have the time to make it in 3 times a week. And I'm looking for, the emotional reset or the lymphatic stuff or the PEMF therapy. I can't find it anywhere close to me, from hours away. We've had people come here for some of the things that we're doing because it's so niche. I've had people from LA, Salt Lake City. We've had people from, the other side of the country.
Hmm.
And then we've kind of got people all over that we're keeping in touch with. And, like I said, this is the first one of its kind where we're doing 35 different things in here. Um, and we have plans and goals of just opening up the next and the next and the next. I would love to have 25, 30 of these globally if we can. That would be my hope and my goal. And I think, there are other companies like Chipotle or McDonald's that will bring hubs to Dayton, or bring, we'll say, the first ever, franchise to see how it works. Because Dayton, like Mark Twain says, or said, if the end of the world comes, I'm going to Dayton, Ohio, because everything happens 10 years later. And so it's like, we know we're ahead of a lot of places in the country, let alone Dayton, Ohio, which we're thrilled to be able to offer this to the Daytonians in the surrounding area, because I was born and raised here. And it's like, we're committed, as you know, we've got other organizations that we've helped open up and are a part of as much as we can be, in Dayton, because we're committed to the people, and we love people, right? That's what we do. So
Yeah.
people are coming from hours away or states away to search for some of these things that we're doing.
Great. Yeah, and they should be. I mean, it's a great experience, and hard to find, definitely, like you said. Let's switch and talk a little bit about 2020,
Sure.
and kind of what was your guys' experience through that, being in Ohio, being in the business that you're in. What challenges, surprises, did you face? And just kind of maybe take us through that a little bit, if you would.
Sure. Um, Man, 2020, right? It was, it's all been good. It's been tough. It's been hard, but it's proven to be good. And I think a lot of people would probably echo the same type of thing. Um, when this first hit, obviously we were a little caught off guard and like, what in the world? The garage has only been here for roughly a year and a half, and now this crazy, lockdowns happening, which we closed our doors for about 8 weeks, and then when we, opened back up, we were originally no appointments needed, right? Like, come and go, unless it was like a table session where we were working hands on with somebody doing an emotional reset or something. No appointments were needed. So we would have, people come in and do their thing, and 15, 20 people all at once. And, people loved it. And then they bounce. And then we'd be chill for a while and they'd come back in. So it forced us to filter that and kind of have to go to appointments only. And, we tried to keep in mind the whole social distancing and, face masks, obviously. And we were allowed or able to do like 4 appointments per hour. And I think ultimately, like long term, that was the direction that we were going to head, knowing that as this continues to grow and get bigger, and the space is the size that it is, and we only have so much that we can do all at once, we knew that was the way it was going to go. So it was good for us to kind of say, hey, we're going to shift the model. We're going to take appointments only. We're going to do 4 appointments per hour. And then that way, people can come in, they can flow through like they need to, maintain that distance, and, allow for other people to feel safe in the environment, be able to breathe a little bit, a little bit better. I'm probably going to keep that, appointment model where, we know what we're getting into, and we know the people that are coming in and when they're coming in. And, it's helped the flow quite a bit better. But all in all, like, we've continued to experience just crazy growth. More people calling in, more people looking us up, finding us in Google, more followers on, social media, which is all part of it, right? Building the business. And you and I talked a month ago or so, and it's like, I want the organic growth. I want the word of mouth. Yeah, business cards and social media is awesome, but ultimately, I want it to be like, you and I sit down and have a conversation, and I say, hey, let me tell you about this place, because you just said something, and I remember, that Body Garage does something for whatever you're dealing with, why don't you go in there and check it out? And actually, just last night I had a first timer in the garage who told me, we're laughing about everything because we had just, gone through her introductory. And she's like, I have a friend that's told me to get in to see you guys for months, and I was scared to death because it seems weird and the energy thing is woo-woo to me. And she's like, man, I don't know why I waited so long. And it's one of those things where it's just like, we want to have those conversations with people. I want to be intentional at sitting down with someone or bringing them in for an introductory circuit to Body Garage and meeting you and getting in your energy field and just letting you know, like, we just care about people. And we really may look weird from the outside looking in, but we're not that weird, right? We're not.
Once you're inside, you realize you're all real cool people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So it's been really good. Long story short, like 2020 has been tough. It forced us into eight weeks of shutting down, but then kind of evaluating and having a lot of meetings and conversations about it. And I remember you and I even talking during that time, how's it looking? How you guys doing? What's next? And so it really forced me to take a step back and get a better view of what we're doing or what we were doing and how it needs to shift in order for it to move forward and to be more productive and produce more life from within.
Yeah. Excellent. I mean, lessons learned. Even though you're forced to change your model, your workflow, your days, operational flow, you ended up realizing it was a better way to do it, which is a really interesting takeaway. And I'm glad you guys came through it like that, even better than you went into it.
Thank you.
Probably. So, well, good. Thanks for that. You mentioned a little bit earlier, and we know each other through Pulse, PEMF. You're one of my awesome clients, at the garage. You mentioned having a couple of units there. Can you drill into a little bit more, how you use Pulse, what you use it for, what type of things you're seeing with it, if you would?
Sure. We use it for everything.
Right. Yeah, good.
We use it for everything. We use it for every body, obviously, that we can, right? So like I said, first time in, somebody's coming in and they're getting PEMF therapy. I'm introducing them to the garage. We are introducing them to the garage, where I or one of the team members will spend 90 minutes with you one-on-one. And we're going to start off talking about everything that's going on, letting you know what we're getting ready to jump into, laughing, having fun with it, because I don't want to be taken too seriously. There's a time, there's a place, obviously, but I want someone to feel welcome and comfortable. And so they're getting PEMF, right? The first time they come in, that I don't charge for, because it's that important and that valuable to me, because I've experienced it and what comes with using it consistently. And so we're bringing people in for the first time, running them through that circuit, walking them through the garage, sometimes getting our hands on them, doing a little lymphatic, doing a little emotional type stuff, helping them understand, like, yeah, okay, I could understand that. You kind of, got rid of some of the weird thoughts that I had about energy, right? And essentially, like, that's what we get to talk about with the PEMF. It's like, hey, let's look at the body under a microscope and let's start talking energy and let's start talking, the earth. And without that, electromagnetic energy, like, you're in trouble. Actually, you would die and do die, right? It's just over time typically. And so everyone that's a part of, the membership, they're doing that circuit, they're doing, PEMF every single time that they're coming in here. Some people, it's the full body chair, depending on their day, their biology, the energy that they have, and we'll tune it to specific, strengths and frequency, obviously. And then other people, I've got an 82-year-old right now that had a full knee replacement. And so guess what? We're loving on that knee as much as we can. So he's doing the chair, and then we're doing the chair and the rings or the paddles. And, I've got one of my favorite stories, a chiropractor who has a really successful business around here, who's actually never taken off work other than 2 days. He shut the place down because he was in a motorcycle accident years ago. and I think he broke his leg. So he shut down for a day. And then he shut down another day because I think it was his right hip was just absolutely killing him. And so he came in here limping. I saw him probably in his 50s, barely able to move. I shut the place down today. I can't move. I think all we did with him was like 20 minutes in that chair. And he gets up. He said, I don't care what happened. You don't need to explain it to me. I feel amazing. And the dude like ran out of here. And I actually haven't seen him since. And so that is awesome. And then, we've got kids that are coming in with fractured, forearms. I had an 80-year-old, actually my grandmother has had 6 hip surgeries. And she months ago fell and fractured her femur, right? Largest bone in the body. Came in here, I think 12 or 13 sessions where I did 60 minutes. I put the paddle around her leg. She goes back to the doctor, x-ray, what have you been doing? There's no sign of a fracture or break. And she's 80 years old, right? And for some people, like, that's it. They never recover. They never heal. So stuff like that has been absolutely incredible. And so, like I said, we're using it on everybody. Everybody needs it. Everybody wants it. Everybody craves it. And you just give the body what it needs, right? And it's going to return to that state of flow as quickly as it can. It's going to recharge and supercharge, and you know it. And so it's
Yep.
great. Like we have people that come in, for the first time, they leave, they're still kind of like, I don't know, this is different. And we see them back the next day and they're like, I can't tell you how good I slept last night. I can't tell you how great I feel. I woke up this morning and I have so much energy. And it's that stuff, right? You're like, it's not the placebo, right? I didn't really do anything. You did all of this stuff. You go home, you experience it, you come back, you're like, I want more of whatever that was. I don't know what happened. Let's just keep doing that.
Yeah, that's one of the most interesting things about PMF is that, people don't realize what raising the energy level in their body has the potential of doing, until it happens.
Right.
And then it's almost like the first time I ever wore glasses. I was in 8th grade. They told me I needed glasses. I argued and said, no, I don't. I see great.
Sure.
But then when
Sure.
I put the glasses on, I did this for the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
everything because I didn't know how well I was supposed to see. And we hear that all the time from people that I didn't know how good I was supposed to feel.
For sure.
And now I think I'm getting a better idea of that and I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For 100%. And on the flip side, we have people that are coming in here consistently for, a couple weeks, a few months, and they don't realize how good they feel until they stop coming
Mm.
and go on vacation or whatever. And they're like, whoa, I had no idea how good I felt until I stepped out of it. And it's like, you don't realize how far you've come, that type of thing.
Yep. And that's exactly why about a little less than half of my customers are private families because
Sure.
they come to me. Maybe they have to travel a little bit too far and too often to come and see, a
For sure.
facility like yours. And so they just decide that it's probably makes better financial sense if they just have their own. They
Sure.
still come to you for everything else.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing though. It really is.
Yep.
Right.
Very
I mean, you'll
interesting.
you'll stop spending money elsewhere so that you can put one of these units in your basement. Right.
Yep. Yep. And we like to educate all people that it's beneficial for everybody as often as you can get it. So I appreciate all that feedback, Jess. That's great. And I'm glad you got such awesome results with people. We know that the technology doesn't cure or treat or heal or prevent any, medical condition, but when you give the body enough energy, the body always wants to, do its own job of recovering and resting the body enough so that it can regenerate and recover. So,
For sure.
yep,
100%. It's
yep,
amazing.
awesome. Well, let's see what maybe as we're wrapping up, maybe talk about anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners about the garage that we haven't covered yet, and maybe if you have any thoughts on where your niche, where your segment is kind of going or evolving to, somewhere around that.
Yeah, for sure. Good stuff. Good thoughts. Well, I mean, I don't need to take a lot of time because you could obviously jump on our website and kind of see everything that's going on. But I will mention, like cryotherapy, we're doing quite a bit of. And then something called alpha stim, which is like cranial electrotherapy stimulation to help with, pain, insomnia, anxiety, depression, kind of help reset the nervous system, put people into more of an alpha, brain wave state where they can chill. And it's like where children live, from 0 to 8 or 9 years old, where you can create and daydream and be in the present moment, right? It's the power of now. And then we're doing like the foot baths, the AMD ion cleanse. We're huge um, on detoxification, right? Like we talk so much about that. Obviously, the PEMF is going to allow for better detoxification, the cells to kind of open up and empty out and then absorb those nutrients, minerals, vitamins, and everything you need, right? So we're doing a lot of what we call lymphatic flushes. And so, we traveled to Boston to study under Dr. Perry Nicholson, who is known as kind of the lymphatic guru, right? He's got, just courses upon courses. He's a chiropractor by trade, but went through his own journey of getting hit with and, struck down by certain things and got into the lymphatic stuff. So we studied under him, and we do a ton of lymphatic sessions here where we work with the body's lymphatic system head to toe. We activate about 40 different, we call them hubs or hotspots, where we start moving and stimulating and, rubbing and digging into the lymphatic system, which is your body's detoxification system, to get all of that, fluid and the old proteins and hormones and mutant rogue cells moving through that system so that the body can actually rid and detox. Otherwise, dis-ease is going to show up in the body at some point, right? And so I say dis-ease like that to people because disease or dis-ease doesn't start with a diagnosis. It starts when the body loses its ability at an energetic level, at a cellular level, and the systems lose their abilities to do what they're created to do. And so a lot of times, and talking specifically lymphatics, when the body cannot destroy and kill and rid and detox, it leads to a disruption that leads to a blockage that leads to a dis-ease, right? So one of the most well-knowns right now that's being talked about is the autoimmune conditions, right? That essentially are a phase of a dis-ease, and it's all gut type stuff. Well, 70% we'll say of the lymphatic system is manufactured in the gut. It's held in the gut. 80% of your immune system is manufactured. It's held in the gut. And so you typically don't find a dis-ease in the body that's not somehow tied to the lymphatic system not being able to detox and flush and rid, right? So that's a huge one. The emotional reset is huge. That's one that people are really curious about, which I love. We get a lot of calls for that. And, a lot of people that travel here from quite a distance, there's like LA and Utah and that type of stuff, Nashville, where they're coming in because they want this hands-on emotional reset. And so, we talk a lot about emotions, emotional trauma, generational trauma, and so one of the things I ask people is, do you know the difference between sadness and anger? And everybody looks at me like, yeah, of course. Well, how do you know the difference? It's not how it's spelled. It's how it's felt. It's how you feel those emotions. And so sadness, anger, fear, rage, bitterness, worry, unforgiveness, all of these are emotions. And so we say it's energy and motion, right? So if you study like what Einstein studied or Tesla or Rife or even, Elon Musk, it's the invisible realm that we can't see, but is real. It's like you and I having a conversation. You can't see my words, but you hear them, so they're real. And that's the quantum realm. That's the invisible stuff. And that's what we get really geeked out about because, Einstein said E equals mc squared. All energy matters because all matter is energy. And so if you want to understand the way that this universe works, us being human beings in this universe, we operate the same way. You study energy. you study waves, right? And the particles that make everything up. And so, those emotional resets have been absolutely amazing and mind blowing time after time, because we'll have someone, a lot of girls that come in here like, hey, I'm struggling to get pregnant. We've been trying for 6 years and we've tried everything, and we've spent thousands of dollars. And our track record with putting our hands on these people and tuning into the sacral, which is, part of the body, it's the reproductive system, and tuning into the negative, we'll call it negative energy that's stored in the body. Well, a lot of times it's guilt or shame due to, uh, past traumas, maybe being mistreated by someone, or being, sexually taken advantage of, that's left her feeling really heavy and guilty and sad. That energy goes to, right? Those chemicals go to that part of the body. And long term, she feels bad about herself, or like she's a bad person and she's not valuable enough or worthy enough to get pregnant. The body will shut that part of, or that system down, and she won't get pregnant. And so that's where, when we start talking about some of this stuff, a little bit of the weirdness or the woo woo, but it really is the way that everything is, right? And all we're doing is tuning into the biology, because the body is always speaking and always saying things. We tune in and we listen, and we call things out, and give her permission to let go and to release whatever is going on. And then, when right, like, bam, gets pregnant. It's really, really cool. And
Yep.
so for me, that was a huge part of my story. Like, anger and rage. Dr. John Sarno, he wrote a couple books, Healing Back Pain and The Mind Body Prescription. And he started, saying, listen, we're removing discs out of the spine, fusing vertebrae together, bypassing nerves. And I see these people 5 times, and they're getting operated on 5 times, and they don't get better. They slowly get worse. So we started doing the opposite. Let's start doing traction, where we open that space up, and they should get better, right? They get worse immediately. And so he started studying the mind-body connection. And he said, listen, we've missed something. It's not just a physical body that someone has. What about your feelings and your emotions? What about your spirit, your soul? What about your mind, right? So he came up with tension myositis syndrome, or myoneural syndrome, TMS. And he said, essentially, when someone like me suppresses anger and rage over and over and over, the chemicals that get released, anger and rage, will gravitate to and in the low back. And eventually, that is just stress after stress after stress. And the body loses its ability to move or do what you want it to do, because stress is tension, and it blocks blood flow and oxygen to that area. And then when things get too big, emotionally speaking, the brain creates a diversion or a distraction, i.e. physical low back pain, which is exactly what I experienced, as a way for me to focus on the physical pain instead of the emotional pain. It's easier to focus on a physical pain than it is emotional pain. Mm-hmm. And so that's exactly what the body does. Listen, the body and the brain and the mind, all way too intuitive, right, for us to fully comprehend. I don't think we'll never really understand everything. We're on the hunt, and we want to, and we understand more and more and more, which is really exciting. But at some point in time, it's like, hey, we can't necessarily explain it, but we know that this is the way that it is, right? And it's all energy.
Sure.
Amazing.
Excellent. Very good. So if someone is, in a situation where they're frustrated and really need some help, and they want to reach out to you guys, what's the best way for somebody completely new to go to your website, or what's the best?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we love people. We love talking about people. We're a group of people that's passionate about hospitality, right? Like, it's what we do. So we love to talk to people on the phone. So always call us, or, email us, jump online and start doing a little bit of research and kind of check out what the garage is doing and what we offer. But anyway, right? Like, I give my cell phone number to almost everybody, because it's like, hey, I'm here for you. We're here for you, day or night, whatever you need, right? Give us a call. text us. Yeah, for sure. So,
Excellent.
yeah, anything they want to do.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I will take your website and your number and some of your contact information and put it in the notes below so people can access you guys that way. Um, I really appreciate you being here, Jesse. This was a great conversation. I could probably extend this for at least another half an hour. So maybe we'll do this again sometime. And folks, if you want to check out the affiliate links below also for some great products and some great discounts. And thank you for tuning into Resilient Business. Jesse, thank you again for being here today, and you take care.
Love it, man. So
All
good.
right.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.